morning, everybody. I welcome you all to this digital classroom for the subject control systems. In the previous lecture, we discussed about the analysis of a second order system with respect to different conditions like zeta is equal to 0, zeta is equal to 1, zeta between 0 and 1, and zeta greater than 1. Today, we are going to derive the expression for unit step response of a second order system. First, let me summarize with the previous session. During my previous lecture, we have derived the roots of the characteristic equation for different values of zeta. When zeta is equal to 1, the two roots are imaginary, and when zeta is equal to 0, the roots are real and identical. And when zeta is between 0 and 1, the roots are complex conjugate. And when zeta greater than 0, the roots are real but not identical, but they are distinct. Then we plotted the roots in the S-plane for all conditions of zeta. In the particular case, 0 less than zeta less than 1, the moment of the poles is shown in the form of a semicircle, and we call it as locus of poles for a second order system. And then we analyzed the hypotenuse AC is equal to omega n, as well as tan theta is equal to square root of 1 minus zeta square divided by zeta. So today, before starting with the session, let us take some examples how a response looks like in time domain with respect to impulse input or a step input. And now example, then let us analyze few things and then let us start up with the derivation for unit step response of a second order system, which will be more effective. So let me take an example here. Given CFS by RFS is equal to 1 by S plus 1, where RFS is equal to 1. So CFS will be equal to 1 by S plus 1 as RFS is equal to 1. So if you equate the denominator equals to 0, it becomes a characteristic equation and we can find the root of this equation. So we have only one root, that is nothing but S is equal to minus 1. So as it is the denominator polynomial, we call the roots to be as poles. So we have only one pole at S is equal to minus 1. So if you plot it in the S-plane, we can plot minus 1 in the negative real axis. And we know the representation of pole is a cross mark which has been specified here. Then our point of interest is to calculate the response of C of S. That is nothing but if you take inverse Laplace transform of C of S, we can obtain C of T. So C of T is nothing but we know the Laplace transform identity 1 by 1 plus A. That is nothing but e to the power of minus at. So we can obtain the responses e to the power of minus t. This is our point of interest. And let us look into the graphical representation of C of t. So from the graph, it is very clear that the response of the system is exponentially decaying. So you can relate this condition with respect to zeta is equal to 1, in which we have obtained the roots to be as real and identical, and it was in the negative real axis. Let me take another one example in which C of S by R of S is equal to 1 by S square plus 1, in which R of S is equal to 1. And then C of S will be equal to 1 by S square plus 1. Again, I have taken impulse as an input. So Laplace transform of impulse input R of S will be equal to 1. So now, if we equate the denominator polynomial equals to 0, then we can obtain the roots of this equation. And we have obtained the roots as S is equal to plus or minus J. Let's plot this pole in the S-plane. So we have obtained two poles exactly on the imaginary axis, plus J and minus J. And if we take the inverse Laplace transform of C of S, we can obtain the response C of t, that is our point of interest. So we know the Laplace transform equality 1 by S square plus A square is nothing but sin AT, in which here A is equal to 1. So we have obtained the response C of t. So if you plot the response, it is nothing but a sinusoidal waveform, which is ranging from minus 1 to plus 1. So now the response of the system is oscillatory. It's oscillatory in nature, and you can relate this condition with the zeta is equal to 0, which we have derived for the characteristic equation for the second order system. By calculating, we have obtained the roots on the imaginary axis, and you can relate with those concepts. So moving on to the next example, this is very, very important. C of s by R of s is equal to 1 by s square plus 2s plus 2, where R of s is again equal to 1. Hence, C of s will be equal to 1 by s square plus 2s plus 1. For the simplification, I get 1 divided by s plus 1 the whole square plus 1 square. So if I equate this denominator equals to 0, that becomes the characteristic equation. And if I simplify this characteristic equation, I can obtain two roots. That is minus 1 plus j and minus 1 minus j. Let's plot this root on the s-plane. So it is the intersection of the real and the imaginary intersection point. Okay, so if you mark the intersection point at minus 1 plus j, you get a pole in this place. And for minus 1 minus j, we can obtain the pole in this location. And if we take the inverse Laplace transform of C of s, C of t will be equal to, again you can relate with the Laplace transform equality, which is given by e to the power of minus t sine t. So now if you plot this in the graph, the response looks like this. And it is very clear that the response of the system is exponentially decreasing sinusoidal waveform. So this upper bound minus t, the exponentially decaying term, okay, has bounded this sinusoidal waveform, and it is guiding as one as upper envelope and other as lower envelope, because sine is ranging from minus 1 to plus 1. So this envelope is guiding the sinusoidal waveform. So you can say that C of t is exponentially decreasing sinusoidal waveform. So you can relate this example with respect to the condition 0 less than theta less than 1. And this is the condition which we have obtained the roots to be as complex and conjugate. So these examples will be helpful for you to relate with the derivation which you're going to do right now with respect to unit step response of a second order system for an underdamped condition. Underdamped condition is nothing but zeta ranging from 0 and 1. So having these ideas in mind, let us start with the derivation. So step response of a second order system for an underdamped condition. It's again a very important university question. So a general second order system is characterized by the following transfer function given by, the block diagram is given here, where g of s is given by omega n square divided by s into s plus 2 zeta omega n, and we have given with a negative feedback h of s is equal to 1. And we know that it is specific to step response. So I have taken unit step response here, u of t, in which u exists when t greater than or equal to 0 and u of t will be equal to 1. So now the characteristic equation C of s by R of s is given by omega n square divided by s square plus 2 zeta omega n s plus omega n square. So now let me substitute for R of s. So given input is a step input. So the Laplace transform of the step input will be 1 by s. So I can take R of s to be as 1 by s. And let me substitute for R of s as 1 by s in this expression. So I get C of s is equal to omega n square by s into s square plus 2 zeta omega n s plus omega n square. So now our point of interest is very straightforward. I have to do partial fraction and take the inverse Laplace transform of C of s. I can obtain C of t, that is nothing but the response of a second order system subjected to unit step input for an underdamped condition. So now applying partial fraction, C of s can be written as a by s plus bs plus c divided by s square plus 2 zeta omega n s plus omega n square. So the first thing which I should do here is I should simplify this expression and I should equate the coefficients of s square, s and the constants, and I have to identify the values of a, b as well as c. So further simplifying this expression, we can obtain a plus b of s square plus 2 zeta omega n a plus c of s plus a omega n square. And towards the left hand side, we have the constant omega n square, and the coefficient of s square is 0 in this case, and coefficient of s is also 0 in this case. So let me equate the coefficient of s square first. A plus b is equal to 0. And if we equate the constant, we get a omega n square is equal to omega n square. And if we equate the coefficient of s, we can obtain 2 zeta omega n a plus c is equal to 0. So While equating the constants, we have obtained a is equal to 1. So when you are equating the coefficient of a square, here we have a plus b is equal to 0. If you substitute for a is equal to 1, we can obtain b is equal to minus 1. When we are equating the coefficient of s, we have obtained 2 zeta omega n a plus c, in which we know that a is equal to 1, hence we can obtain c is equal to minus 2 zeta omega n. So now we have found the values of a, b and c. So the next step is to substitute the values of a, b and c in the above expression. So we can obtain c of s as 1 by s as a is equal to 1 minus ds. B is equal to minus 1, hence we have represented here as minus. Then we have substituted for c and we have obtained s plus 2 zeta omega n divided by s square plus 2 zeta omega n s plus omega n square. So now the condition which you are going to apply here is an underdamped condition. So in the previous lecture, I have derived the roots of the equation for an underdamped condition. So we know that the roots of the equation for underdamped condition is given by s1 comma s2 is equal to minus omega n zeta plus or minus j omega d. So if you substitute for s1 as minus omega n zeta plus j omega d, and let me substitute for s2 as minus omega n zeta minus j omega d. So after substituting for s1 and s2, the expression is given by s plus omega n zeta minus j omega d multiplied by s plus omega n zeta plus j omega d. Now this expression is of the form a minus b into a plus b. So I can further simplify it as a square minus b square, where a is s plus omega n zeta the whole square and b we have j omega d. So j square will be equal to minus 1, as j is equal to square root of minus 1, j square will be equal to minus 1, minus into minus it becomes plus. So we have the expression here as s plus zeta omega n the whole square plus omega d square. And we know that omega d is the damping frequency which is given by omega n into square root of 1 minus zeta square. So let me substitute for the characteristic equation as s square plus 2 zeta omega n s plus omega n square replaced by s plus zeta omega n the whole square plus omega d square. So once after substitution, we have obtained C of s in this fashion. So now the next step is to take the inverse Laplace transform. The procedure is very straightforward. To apply the inverse Laplace transform, we have to represent it in the form of a standard form so that you can relate with the Laplace transform equality. So to transform it in the form of a Laplace transform equality, I'm rewriting the second term of the numerator as s plus zeta omega n plus zeta omega n, which is nothing but s plus 2 zeta omega n. The inverse Laplace transform of the above equation can be obtained easily if C of s is written in the following form. So we have written in this form so that inverse Laplace transform becomes very easy for us to proceed. So now we know the inverse Laplace transform of 1 by s will be 1, and the second term s plus zeta omega n divided by s plus zeta omega n the whole square plus omega d square can be related with the Laplace transform equality s plus a divided by s plus a the whole square plus b square. The equality is given as e to the power minus at cos bt, where a is equal to zeta omega n and b is equal to omega d square. And if you look into the third term, we have zeta omega n divided by s plus zeta omega n the whole square plus omega d the whole square. Try to relate with another Laplace transform equality, which is given by b by s plus a the whole square plus b square, in which we have the Laplace equality as e to the power minus at sine bt. So here b is nothing but omega d square and we have a as zeta omega n. But if you notice the third term, numerator of the third term, the term b, that is nothing but omega d square, is missing. But you can manipulate it by multiplying and dividing by omega d for the third term. So let us do that changes with respect to C of s. So I have just introduced this omega d by omega d to equate it with the Laplace transform equality. And now I can take omega d by s plus zeta omega n the whole square plus omega d square, making use of this equality, and I can substitute in the Laplace transform pair. So now applying inverse Laplace transform of 1 by s is 1 And for the second time, we have obtained e to the power minus zeta omega n t cos omega dt. And for the third time, we have obtained e to the power of minus zeta omega n t sin omega dt. And we have these terms. So now, for the simplification, just we have simplified from the previous expression. Omega n get cancelled out. I have substituted for omega d as omega n into square root of 1 minus zeta square. So now for the simplification, I have just simplified it, and I have taken e to the power minus zeta omega n t divided by square root of 1 minus zeta square as common. And then now you can relate with the equality which we know already, which has been taken from the locus of the poles in a second order system, which we have discussed in the previous lecture. From that we have an equality here, tan theta is equal to sin theta by cos theta, which is given by omega n square root of 1 minus zeta square divided by omega n zeta. So here it is very clear that sin theta is equal to square root of 1 minus zeta square, and cos theta is equal to zeta. So I can substitute for square root of 1 minus zeta square as sin theta, and the term zeta to be as cos theta. So if I substitute, we can obtain C of t as 1 minus e to the power minus zeta omega n t divided by square root of 1 minus zeta square multiplied by sin theta cos omega dt plus cos theta sin omega dt. So now it is of the form sin a cos b plus cos a sin b. So it can be written as sin a plus b. So now I can get a simplified response C of t as 1 minus e to the power of minus zeta omega n t divided by square root of 1 minus zeta square multiplied by sine of omega dt plus theta. So now C of t function can be plotted in the form of a graph, and we know that if you substitute this will not happen until and unless if you substitute some values for zeta and omega n. So let me substitute for zeta is equal to 0.1 and omega n to be as 3 radian per second. Now from the response we could able to see that sine theta will be between -1 and +1, and sinusoidal waveform takes a value of -1, then C of t will be equal to 1 plus of e to the power minus zeta omega n divided by square root of 1 minus zeta square. And when sinusoidal waveform takes a value of +1, C of t will be equal to 1 minus of e to the power minus zeta omega n t divided by square root of 1 minus zeta square. So let me try to plot the C of t. So here the first term is 1, so I have represented here as 1, and for plus and minus values of sine omega t, which is ranging from -1 to +1, we have got the response here, and we have the envelope, upper and lower envelope, which has been guided by this e to the power minus zeta omega n t. So now the C of t function can be between these envelopes, 1 plus e to the power minus zeta omega n t divided by square root of 1 minus zeta square, and 1 minus e to the power minus zeta omega n t divided by square root of 1 minus zeta square. And this envelope will guide the function. So the output response looks in the same pattern in which it is guided by the upper bound and lower bound. So now the step response of an underdamped condition, if you substitute for different values of zeta starting from 0 to zeta is equal to 0.9, we could able to see for the first case, in the absence of zeta, that is nothing but without the presence of damping, the complete nature of the waveform is oscillatory without the effect of damping. And when we keep on increasing the value of zeta, we could able to see the suppression of this oscillatory nature of the response. So completely when the zeta is equal to 0.9, the nature of the oscillatory nature is completely suppressed. Similarly, we can take few examples with respect to different values of omega n. When omega n is equal to 0.5, we could able to see this type of waveform, and omega n when it keeps on increasing, when it reaches 2.5, you could able to find the oscillatory nature of the waveform. So we could able to see the effect of damping with respect to change of value of zeta in the previous slide, and with respect to the oscillatory nature by changing the value of omega n. And finally, the time response analysis for a second order system subjected to unit step input for an underdamped condition can be as such. And we will be deriving the parameters like TR, TP, TS, MP, and TD. In the next lecture, these parameters we call it as time domain specifications of a second order system for an underdamped condition. It's again a very, very important university question, and let me derive this expression in my next lecture. So moving on to the next session, for an undamped condition, we know that zeta is equal to 0. So from the response which we have obtained for C of t, if I substitute for zeta is equal to 0, e to the power of 0, it becomes 1. And here the second term completely becomes 0. So my response will be 1 minus cos omega dt. But we know that omega d is equal to omega n into square root of 1 minus zeta square. As zeta is equal to 0, omega d will be equal to omega n. So that is the reason why I have written it as 1 minus cos omega nt. So now if you wanted to plot the response, so now it is a cosine waveform and it is oscillating between the range -1 to +1. And if you plot the response exactly, you could able to obtain the oscillatory nature of the response, which means that at undamped condition, there is no effect of this damping factor. Hence, the nature of the waveform is retained in the same manner and it is completely oscillatory in nature and it is having the same natural effect of the frequency which is required for the sinusoidal and the cosine waveform. That is the reason why now omega d has been represented as omega n and you could able to analyze the effect very easily. As we have done so much of experiments in the beginning related with the different types of examples related to the nature of the roots and its response, how does it looks like, now the pattern which we have obtained is not new for you and you could able to analyze it very easily. So in my next lecture, I will be deriving the expression for time response specification of a second order system. Thank you.